Chapter 10. Rene avoided Marissa as they maneuvered down the hallways, his attention drawn toward the ground and the vista of legs, shoes, stains of spilled soda, hardened gum, and pennies that weren't worth the effort of students too cool to pick them up. Marissa recognized his sadness and was waiting for the Thursday rehearsal of Romeo and Juliet to apologize. She hoped that the showdown in the school parking lot hadn't got him in even more trouble. At rehearsal they would have to stand side by side and could spy on each other out of the corners of their eyes. She would try to clutch his hand and not give it back. On Wednesday, Hamilton Magnet was scheduled to play Washington in basketball, a preseason tune-up between two teams that both played as if their shoelaces were undone, sloppy. The players for Hamilton were mostly anemic-looking poets and artists, a few math heads strong at calculating their chances of victory, 0, and some musicians from the orchestra. The tuba player, Marcos Sanchez, was the shortest player on the team, 5'3", red-cheeked after 3 minutes on the court, and slow as syrup drooling from the bottle of Mrs. Butterworth. He ran up and down the court as if he were carrying his tuba and folding a chair. "Come with me," Priscilla begged as he captured one of Marissa's wrists and shook her arm like a garden hose. Marissa agreed. At the game, held in Hamilton's gymnasium, the two girls arrived just as a crew of students from Washington came in, all loud, all jabbing their hands into potato chip bags. "Hey, girl," Letitia loudly greeted Marissa when they met at the folding table where tickets were sold. She had a comb stuck in her afro. "What you doing here?" Marissa and Letitia had been close friends in first and second grade, but by third grade they had drifted. Letitia to her black friends at one table in the lunchroom, and Marissa to the Latinos hanging out on the grassy hill. It was a division of races. It was the way things were no matter how much the teachers tossed around the word multicultural. "Hey, Letitia," Marissa hugged her old friend. "This is my new school." "New school?" Letitia was not known to speak softly. She didn't do anything softly. "What you mean? You ain't gonna sit with us?" Her face rolled with dissatisfaction. "If that's the case, we gonna spank your team's booty. We be pumped." Marissa waved and smiled and looped her arm into Priscilla's as they paid their $2, entered the gymnasium, and climbed the bleachers. The coach, with a gut as round as a basketball, stood in the sidelines. He was Mr. Green, Marissa's math teacher, who looked like he couldn't move but was surprisingly swift on his feet. The vice principal was on his cell phone. 3 or 4 teachers plus a security guard in a yellow jacket were trying to pin a school banner to a wall. A few students clotted together, and a few sat in the top row of the bleachers. "I've never been to a basketball game," Marissa told Priscilla, who said, "No, sir, you've been to a game before," and then screamed when the DJ started a song that she really liked. "It's true, I've been to football games, but never a basketball game." Marissa scanned the gym. "It's kind of sorry, huh? There ain't hardly anybody here." The school's flag, high in the rafters, was stirred by the air conditioning. One of the lights flickered, and somewhere outside a door was banging shut again and again. "So which one is he?" Marissa asked, taking a chocolate-flavored Tootsie Roll Pop that Priscilla offered her. "That hottie there," Priscilla said. She pointed quickly, and had to point again when Marissa, with candy on her tongue, slurred, "Which one?" "The one with the ball, Aaron." Marissa studied Priscilla's would-be boyfriend as she sucked on the candy. He was average height, dark-haired, and pale as milk. His biceps bulged with muscles. He had a star-shaped tattoo on the back of his right calf. "He's hella cute," Marissa remarked. "I know," Priscilla responded after a long span of silence. She chewed at a fingernail and then scowled at it. "I'm such a mess. Even my fingers are bleeding." "Stop it then." Marissa slapped Priscilla's hand, and Priscilla let it drop into her thigh. Marissa's own heart leaped when she noticed Rene at a long table. At first she thought he was working the soundboard, but saw that he kept glancing up at the scoreboard over by the far end of the double doors. "Rene's here too," Marissa remarked flatly. "Where?" Priscilla asked. "There," she pointed, slightly embarrassed because Rene was wearing a pair of high-water pants, and from where she sat she could tell his socks didn't match. She sighed and said, "Man, his clothes are so wickety-whack." When the game started, the small group of Washington supporters began to rock as if they were riding a bus, then shriek when one of the players scored, and were louder than Hamilton's band. They blew up their potato chip bags and clapped them when Hamilton's was set to shoot. It was 10-0 before Hamilton scored. helped out by a Washington player who accidentally tipped the ball into the opponent's basket. Marissa watched Aaron play. He moved nicely on the court, and he seemed to care whether they won or lost. He hustled, and one of every three his shots swished. When he was taken out of the game, he scrubbed his face with a towel and drank 3 cups of water. Marissa was fascinated by him. She had to admit that he was good-looking, even gorgeous, and when she felt hideous about such a thought, was she coveting the boy Priscilla liked? So what does he do? Marissa asked. In her 3 weeks at Hamilton, she had discovered that everyone did something. Computer graphics, robotics, poetry, drama, homemade graphic novels, and lots of music, both classical and alternative. He plays basketball, she answered. He lives and dies for it. You got it bad, huh, girl? Yeah, real bad. When I'm in bed, I send him these telepathic messages. I tell him to look for me, Priscilla. They both laughed, but Priscilla laughed harder. He knows, but he doesn't care, Priscilla added. He told Marissa that his parents were both doctors. That much she knew about his family life. Marissa paid attention to some of the game, but mostly she spent time looking at the back of Renee's head as he worked the electronic scoreboard. She felt childish as she rummaged through the memories of their first and only fight. All she had spewed from her lips was that she thought the actors were fake, and all he had said was, "How come you're so negative?" Her ego was fragile as a robin's egg, and it broke. She wished she could take it back. Her bitterness. She liked him. After all, hadn't he been willing to punch Roberto for her? Marcus Sanchez only played 2 minutes of the first half, and during halftime he joined the pep band, his face growing sweatier from his tuba playing than from the time on the court. He did his best to keep in tune to the rally cry of "Louie, Louie." Hamilton lost 65-23. On Thursday morning, clouds rolled in and darkened the autumn sky. Rain splashed like tears against the kitchen window, trying to get in and spread its moodiness. Marissa was considering what to wear, a jacket or just 2 sweatshirts, as she raked a thin layer of strawberry jam over the unbuttered piece of toast. Her cell phone rang. It was Priscilla, whose first words were, "I had a dream that he was talking to me." She didn't have to explain the cryptic message. "He's on you. He's trailing you like a shark. I hope he bites," she said, and hung up. When Marissa got to school, Renee seemed to be waiting for her. He was kicking the scuffed toe of his shoe into the asphalt. "Hey," Marissa greeted. She could have played hard to get and hooked herself to the crowd, heading towards the cafeteria, but she emptied her heart. She was full of words that needed to come out. "Hey," Renee greeted. "I want to say I'm sorry." "No, I'm sorry." They stood just inches away from each other. Marissa could smell soap on Renee. She could also smell coffee. A surprise, because he was vegan, and didn't they oppose caffeine? "I should have been braver," Renee muttered. Marissa paused as she nearly blurted out, "Why, is your mom like a hag?" The urge was so great that she had inhaled a lungful of wind for such a purpose. Instead, she let it out by muttering, "I didn't know you drink coffee." "Just sometimes," Renee said before he began to explain that it was in his heart. "Listen, Marissa, my mom is real strict. She wants me to, do well in school." He flapped his arms at his side as if he were a penguin. "She wants me to go to Harvard or Stanford." Here it comes, Marissa thought. He's going to cut me loose. She thinks having a girlfriend will get me in trouble. "Do you think I'm trouble?" Marissa asked. She rested her head against her shoulders, eyes closed, and smelled his soap. Or was it shaving cream? Had he started to shave? "Yeah, I do," he answered. Marissa pulled her head away from his shoulder. "So I'm trouble?" Her system began to cook up a pot of anger. "Marissa, let me finish." He fumed for a moment, and finally said in a controlled voice, "I like you because you are trouble. It's dangerous. Don't forget that was the first time I got into a fight. Ever." Marissa had first raised her fist when she was in her stroller, and her older cousin Jose had ripped a popsicle from her sticky fingers. Or at least that is what she told every time she saw her cousin, now an army sergeant and the push-up king of his battalion. This cousin, and Marissa had witnessed it, could do 300 two-finger push-ups and hardly break a sweat. "I know it's sad, but that's me." Renee twitched his nose. "It doesn't hurt any more." Marissa brought herself close again. The soap smell was there, and the coffee smell, plus something she sniffed like a rabbit, like sadness. "Poor baby," she mused. "He wants to be a man." "Renee," Marissa asked. "What?" "You're standing on my shoe." She played it up by wincing from pain. She took a few stumbling steps as she pretended to make it better. He lifted his shoe and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." "Listen, buddy boy," Marissa said as she stroked his hair. "You're not supposed to say that you're sorry all the time." "I'm not?" Renee appeared baffled. "No, you're not. You're the dude, the guy, el mero, mero es vato, the homie, the heavyweight, champion of this girl's heart." Marissa touched her heart. "You're El Macho, Mr. Suave, and if lifting weights, contending for the title of Mr. America." Renee sucked in his gut so that his chest stood out. "Remember, you wear los pantalones," Marissa said, then grimaced at his high waters. "But I'm going to tell you what kind, and it ain't the ones you got on." The two kissed and made up and lifted weights that day in the abandoned part of the gym. Marissa did 100 sit-ups, and for the fun of it, lifted Renee into her arms and staggered about. She huffed, "This is just to let you know that if you," she adjusted him in her arms and groaned, "if you ever get sick or in an accident, I'll carry you to the hospital." After school they went to rehearsal. They didn't have much to do. The chorus stood on the side of the stage, and the director with his hands in his hair scowled. "Romeo, your timing is all wrong." Marissa elbowed Renee and winked at him. "Who wears the pants?" she murmured. "I do," he answered. "And you have to speak clearly," the director boomed. "Remember not to swallow your words. Take your time." "But who tells you what kind?" "My Romeo," Marissa whispered in his ears. "You do." He laced his fingers into hers and smiled. After rehearsal they met with Priscilla, and the three of them went to the mall close to Marissa's aunt's house. There the girls pulled Renee into a store filled with loud bass thumping music. None of the words were decipherable. "But I'm the man," he protested over the music. "The man." The girls giggled. "You wish," Marissa laughed. "Right now Priscilla and me are the mommies, and we're going to buy you bad baby a pair of pants." They had pooled their money and borrowed some from one of Priscilla's friends. They came up with $29, just enough to splurge on a pair of jeans in the current style. When they found the right jeans, Renee headed for the dressing room. He emerged, lamenting, "But they don't fit." He gripped the loose front and remarked that he looked like an after photo of a formerly fat person. "Anyway, they look like someone else wore them for a million years. They're faded." "That's how they're supposed to wear them," Priscilla retorted. "They're too long," he added as he modeled in front of the mirror. "They're going to drag." "What did I say to you?" Marissa asked. "I wear the pants. You okay, Moss? But you pick them out." "Dang, he's trained," Priscilla asked. The girl laughed. The girls bought the jeans for him. One on each side, they escorted him like police from the store. Renee giggling and protesting that he hardly knew these two females, and would someone please help him because his pants were falling off. Chapter 11. Marissa stopped just short of stalking Aaron into the boys' restroom during lunch on Friday. She would have but for the two boys lurking like vultures at the entrance, their hands stuffed in their front pockets. She waited by the drinking fountain and pressed her hand over her heart. Its engine was steady. She found herself feeling better about her plan. When Aaron came out, hitching up his pants, she said, "Hey, pretty boy, come here." Aaron looked at her as if she were a bug and slowly raised a hand to point at his chest. "That's all right. You and your mighty muscles. Bring them over here." She guiltily noted that his chest was so much more endowed than poor Renee's. The boy had game. "Do I know you?" Aaron asked as he sauntered over, running his hands through his hair. Marissa ignored his question. "You know when you shoot, you get to keep your elbows in and bend those cute knees of yours?" She raised her arms into a shooting position and bent her knees. She felt a little stupid, as she knew nothing about basketball. She remembered one more piece of advice from her father. "Plus, you can't hold your breath. Got to be natural." Aaron blinked at her and turned away, hitching up his pants again. Why does Priscilla like him, Marissa wondered. And why did Alicia like Roberto? Why do girls fall for such fools? She sidled up to Aaron. "Remember, you can't hold your breath. You did that a couple times at the game on Wednesday," Marissa informed him. As they turned the corner toward the science rooms, she added in a whisper, "I know a girl who likes you." That stopped Aaron. Advice on shooting didn't earn his attention, but the mention of a mysterious girl halted his swaggering walk. He turned, licked his thin, pretty lips, and sized up Marissa. His eyes narrowed, and a smile began to form on his face. He stepped close to her and breathed in her ear. "A lot of girls like me." His bright, ironic smile glowed like a lantern. "And thanks for the advice. I'll remember it on the court." Conceited! Marissa couldn't believe such a boy. Sure, he was drop-dead gorgeous, strong, and maybe had plenty of smart noodles coiled up in his brain. His parents were doctors, right? But he was stuffed like a sausage with himself. In English, Marissa clacked her pencil between her upper and lower teeth, and then bared their teeth to a small compact, her breath fogging the mirror's surface. "What are you smiling about?" Mr. Warren asked. "You're supposed to be doing your assignment." "Who, me?" Marissa asked, her compact clicking closed. "Yes, you, Miss Rodriguez. I wasn't smiling. I was just checking to see if I had stuff between my teeth." A couple of classmates laughed, and Marissa had to smile, but with her mouth closed. Maybe there was gunk stuck between her teeth. When Marissa was leaving at the end of the class, Mr. Warren called her back. "You're distracted," he said. "You need to focus." "I know," Marissa agreed. "It's just that I'm in love, and I'm also working out my plan to help my friend who's in love." Mr. Warren didn't want to hear any more. "Let's not talk about girls and boys and what you're up to." He thumped his pencil against the pile of essays, as if he were trying to punish them. "You must have been in love when you were our age." Marissa had never spoken so boldly to a teacher. At Washington she had been a moody shadow ghosting down the hallway, and she would have never raised her hand in class, even if she had to go to the bathroom. That would have been uncool, but at Hamilton she had begun to see that she could bare her soul. "Yeah, I was in love," Mr. Warren said, patting the globe of his belly, "with beef enchiladas." He warned her about primping in class, and asked how rehearsals were going for Romeo and Juliet. "Like real neat," she chimed, then paused, hand over her mouth, as if it had issued a foul word. She would have to watch that. "Shoot, I might turn into a nerd like Renee," she thought. "You talked to him?" Priscilla said into her cell phone outside the library. "Yeah," Marissa answered. She had just got out of her last class, biology, where she had splayed open an unfortunate frog, already dead, with a dull knife. She and Renee were going to the rendezvous at the auditorium for rehearsal. "You were chopping it up. I corrected his outside shot." She had the tickling urge to describe him as she saw him, conceited, but she was certain that would destroy Priscilla or, even worse, make Priscilla defend the blockhead basketball player. "Oh, God, I can't believe it!" Priscilla screamed. "You talked basketball with him? Oh, wow!" As Marissa approached the library, she could see Priscilla stomping her feet in excitement and bellowing into her cell phone. "You talked to him? Really? Oh, wow!" "She's really got it bad," Marissa told herself. "She's really in love." She closed her cell phone as Priscilla was asking if he knew who she was. "Aaron, Aaron, Aaron!" Marissa teased loudly. Priscilla's voice twisted in terror. Shocked, she ran over from the library and pulled on Marissa's arm. She hauled her away as if she were a bad child. "I can't believe you said his name so loudly. What if he heard?" "It would be good if he heard. In fact," Marissa caught sight of stuffing Aaron, pants hanging low out of the corner of her eye. "Here he is." She shrugged out of Priscilla's grip and hollered, "Hey, Aaron, remember to keep breathing when you shoot." Aaron was with two boys, both players, and he cut loose from them and approached the girls, hitching up his pants. He first sized up Marissa and then Priscilla before asking Marissa, "What's your name?" "Marissa," Priscilla answered. "My boyfriend is Renee, and this is Priscilla. She doesn't have a boyfriend." Priscilla turned away and nearly doubled over, embarrassed. "Don't play shy," Marissa advised Priscilla. She wanted to impress upon Aaron that he was dealing with two girls who were not afraid to take chances. Aaron's smile was even more like a snicker. "Isn't she embarrassing?" Priscilla's face was red, but Marissa thought her blushing gave her a healthy look. Aaron shrugged. "We checked you out Wednesday," Priscilla remarked. Aaron chewed his gum and then asked, "Doing what?" Priscilla's head tilted downward. Ah, and then swung up. "Playing basketball. You were so good." Aaron's gum chewing slowed to a stop. "You think I played good?" Marissa had to have her say. "You were so full of yourself, mister." Aaron shifted his attention to Marissa, who had clapped her hand over her mouth. "Marissa!" Priscilla screamed. Aaron smiled. "She's right. I take after my dad. Is your dad full of pathos, too?" Marissa nearly asked. "My dad played in high school." Turning to Priscilla, he asked, "What's your name again?" "Ay, Chihuahua." Marissa was disgusted that Mr. Basketball had already forgotten her name. "Priscilla," she answered. "My dad used to play basketball, too." Aaron's eyes widened. "He used to play with my little brother Adam," Priscilla giggled. Aaron nodded. "Cool." "I play tennis," Priscilla continued. "I used to be really awful, but I got better. Now I'm just awful." "You go, girl," Marissa chirped. "Hey, did you hear the joke about the two cats that went to go see a tennis match?" Neither had, and neither showed the vaguest interest in hearing it. Marissa staggered back a few steps to give them room as they kept talking. "Well," Aaron finally said, "I gotta bounce. I'll give you a call." "But you don't know my number." Marissa stepped between them like a referee. He got Priscilla's number, then turned and swaggered away to join a cloud of boys huddled around the trash can. They were peeling oranges and flicking the peels into it. "Girl, I could murder you," Priscilla whined under her breath. "But I got you two talking," Marissa insisted, "and he has your number. You did good. He's going to like you." She hooked her arm into Priscilla's, and the two walked away into the auditorium, where she caught sight of Renee and a friend thumb wrestling. Can you believe we girls like boys? They're so dumb. Marissa had to ponder her own instincts. She had met Renee via Roberto, whom she had met through her friend Alicia, but just how had she started liking Renee? It was a mystery, something like chemistry. Priscilla was nearly skipping at Marissa's side. "I can't believe he talked to me. I'm so lucky. How long before you think he'll call?" Marissa speculated the call would come in 3 days. To call any sooner would show that he was hurting for attention. Aaron was too cool to want to give the impression that he was thirsty for excitement, though Marissa was certain that he was salivating over Priscilla. She was cute. While doing her math in bed on Monday night, an activity that produced one yawn after another, Marissa got a call from Renee. "My mom took my new pants away," he said promptly. Marissa flung her brick-heavy math book across the bed. "She what?" "She says I look like a gangster." Marissa resisted her typical angry response, which would start with one-word insults and then move to include long, fiery sentences. Still she had to ponder what kind of mother was she. No wonder Renee was such a nerd. "Listen, buddy boy, remember you wear los pantalones. You're the dude." "Yeah, I remember," he moaned weakly. "I wear the pants, but you pick out the style and color." Marissa chuckled. She was teaching her lover boy good. "You told your mother that Priscilla and me bought them for you, huh?" Marissa asked. "Yeah, it kinda came out." Renee was her darling nerdy boyfriend. She had challenged him and beat him at thumb wrestling, and then let him win when she saw how sweet his face got screwed up with pain. She felt sorry for him again. "Hey," Marissa started. "Hey is for horses," Renee quipped. He began his honking laughter. "Renee, you gotta learn a new way of laughing." She told him he sounded like a goose. "But I've always laughed like this," he offered. Another barrage of honk-honk laughter, followed by a piggy snort. "It's not time for your silliness," Marissa retorted, as she stood up and began pacing her bedroom. "You tell your mom that she did bad." Silence. "Are you there?" "Yeah, I'm here," he said. "My mom is so mean. You wear the pants. ¿Recuerdas? You're the man. El mero mero." Marissa could hear a lumpy swallow in his voice as he confirmed his role. "That's right, I'm the man." Marissa then asked if he had done his 50 push-ups. A few days before, she had devised an exercise regimen for both of them. Since meeting Renee, she had lost inches off her waist and hips, which had drawn suspicion from her mother, with a mouthful of mashed potatoes, had asked, "Are you bulimic?" Marissa had answered no, and described her regimen to get skinny, or at least slim down enough so that she could one day put on a dress, something she rarely did. "Nobody did 6 push-ups," Renee admitted. "Only 6? Yeah, that's when my mom came into my room and took my pants off the bed and hid them." There was sorrow in his face, and even more sorrow when he had wished that he were like Aaron. Priscilla had crowed and crowed about Aaron, the man about campus. Marissa remembered how Renee's shoulders had sagged, and during rehearsal he had declared that he was no good at any sport, even the nerd sport, thumb wrestling.